In today's conversation, we have the pleasure of speaking with my colleague, Randy Barnes again. Randy is the Director of Sales and Product Engineering at InvestorCOM, and he is in touch with a lot of our clients and helps them in their pursuit of being compliant. Randy is also an industry veteran and has dedicated his career to digitizing the advisor's desktop. Good morning and welcome back, Randy.
Thank you, Parham. Good to be here.
Randy, is someone who is in touch with most of our clients. You have a really good beat over what's happening in the marketplace. I'm curious, what are you seeing as you're speaking to our clients about complying with regulation best interest and the Department of Labor's prohibited transaction exemption 2020-02?
Great question. So we're seeing a shift, and we thought, I think, back in the middle to the end of last year as well, where and it's evident in some of the webinar information that we've been able to pull together, but folks are turning the needle a little bit more away from the day-to-day compliance of capturing the recommendations, and now they're starting to really think about this retrospective review aspect of the PTE 2020-02. Quite simply because there doesn't seem to be a lot of detailed information about it. And so it's top of mind for everybody. June 2023 is coming pretty quickly. And as firms could be called by the Department of Labor to provide their report, they're wondering what's next. What am I going to do?
Absolutely, and there's a lot of ambiguity, as you said. You follow the 15 questions that are outlined on the Department of Labor's FAQs. It says, hey, you gotta have a process for your retrospective reviews, and you're absolutely right. It is topical for our clients, and how do you do it? I think as we've said, let's start with the data that you can capture. There's always the old-fashioned way of pulling, thousands of PDF documents and trying to scan them for information and to ensure it was done correctly, let's just say 6-8 months ago. Or why not leverage data? And maybe this is a good segue, Randy, to jump into kind of the genesis behind our rollover analyzer dashboards and how it supports our clients with the retrospective review requirement.
Yeah, absolutely. It was apparent, through the course of the conversations that we've had, that our clients needed something. Like you said, the old-fashioned El Manuel way of digging through documents and contacting advisors or financial professionals to see if they did this recommendation or if they have this paperwork was going to be really clunky and cumbersome. And we've got all that data, right? We've got all the underlying information that we need for our clients. And so, over the course of the past couple of months, we've dug in, and I think we've iterated probably close to 20 different times on what this dashboard can do for our clients. We got some great feedback in discussions and some prototyping with our clients and with other industry professionals and experts out there that we are able to tap into. And what's come out of it, I think, is going to be a great value-added dashboard for our clients to be able to do what I think is two of the major things that are required for the retro review. One is monitor the activity, periodically to try to identify and prevent issues before they become problems. And then two, arm them with some good information to be able to actually produce their retrospective review report.
Thanks for that, Randy. Would you be able to do a quick sneak peek of, you mentioned you're talking to our clients about and the many iterations. I've sort of been by your side through this process, and I know how much work has gone into it. A quick sneak peek just to kind of share the development on this front.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and do that here real quickly. And I mentioned it a little bit before, the way we're trying to go after this is give the firm some information that they can leverage on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis to kind of monitor their activity as it's happening. And so there's ways that they can do that. And then also have the information available that they can export into the retrospective review report, really helping them justify or rationalize that the policy and procedures that they've put in place to comply with the DOL's regulations are being followed, and that's evident in the data that we're able to provide to them. So they can look at their transactions and they can see, for example, one of the great conversations I've had over the course of the past couple of weeks is, the different opinions that firms might have on how they obtain their cost-related information for these plan-related rollovers. And one firm might come out and say, we mandate that it's got to be the manual entry based on the statement, right? And so the other firm might say, listen, if you can get the plan lookup information easily, go get it. And so those two very different opinions manifest itself in the policy and procedures, but then we can see here as an example in the data, we can show that firm exactly how their advisors are keying in that plan related information, and does it line up with their expectations. And so things like this, these are the types of insights that we're hoping to surface. And another big piece is the back testing of your activity, and whether you have a recommendation on file to support the activity that you're seeing going through your custodian or your books and record system. And so making it very simple for a compliance officer or a supervisor to key in a customer name and quickly search to see if there is activity and get instant access to the link to the actual artifact to the client. Huge time saver. And quite honestly, this is one of the big value adds that our firms have been telling us that we've been able to nail in this type of analysis.
Amazing. It looks great. And thank you for all you do, Randy, in sort of staying in touch with what the industry requirements are, as well as helping our clients. And so I always say, as a technology vendor, we always have a little bit of a unique perspective, right? We are helping firms that are different. Their business models are different. Their onboarding cycles, the advisor adoption processes, you name it, they're all foundationally different across the industry. Now, what if Randy Barnes was on the other side and had a chief compliance officer hat? What would you do to, what would keep you awake at night?
A couple of things, honestly. And one of them is from more the technology side, and one of them is more from the business side. So from the technology side, how can I make sure that the solution or a solution can work for my needs, right? Because I'm different than the next guy. You just mentioned it, right? And I've always made this comment across the industry for, the 20 years that I've been here. We can't agree that water's wet, much less that there's one right way to do, something, especially this complicated. And so being able to have a capability to conform or configure to what I need is hugely important for me as a CCO in your example. And the other piece is the outliers. Like, how do I know what I don't know? How do I know when there are certain things that I need to go chase, I need to go find because they break the norm, because those are the things that are going to get me probably in the most trouble. And so, that aspect of it as well are areas, trends, whatever we can try to surface through the dashboard to see, are my advisors gaming the system, so to speak, and answering questions in such a way to get a desired outcome without actually reflecting the client true need. And how can I find that? How can I find where my scores are just out of whack because of, how the advisor might be answering his or her question. So, those are things that just come to mind as I wouldn't get a lot of sleep if I couldn't pinpoint some of those things and be, again, like I said before, be able to identify problems before they become problems.
Thank you again for joining our conversation, and also for all the great work you're doing with our clients and bringing this retrospective review dashboard to life.
My pleasure.
Really hope you enjoyed today's conversation between Randy and I. Please feel free to like this video and subscribe to InvestorCOM's YouTube channel and other social channels to hear more about InvestorCOM's Wealth Compliance Leader Series.